Oh, what a sight it was last Saturday in the month of June. High school baseball season for 2025 coming to an end, but a victorious scene as Ocean Lakes was able to outlast Cox in an all-beach district final for the VHSL Class 6 title. And we are so delighted to be joined by the head coach of those state champion Dolphins, Pete Zell, with us, a veteran on the diamond for so many years. Coach, congratulations. It had to feel sweet to bring home Ocean Lakes' first ever state championship in
Yeah,
high school baseball.
it still taking some getting used to, man. It felt good. This felt like this was for all the guys that grind out there in the world, that work so hard, that that put in that time, and whose teams are usually solid and really good and competitive, but maybe don't always have the aren't always the favorites every year. So kind of felt good for all those guys.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Last year's team able to win the region. You've got some experience from going deep in the playoffs. You went 21-5 this year, closed on an 8-game winning streak. Take me through just the highs and lows, because it's what we see all the time in postseason baseball, be it with the College World Series that's going
Yeah.
to wrap up with the October run in Major League Baseball. You had some wild ebbs and flows. You saw Cox a few different times. You were coming off a state semi with Riverbend that was 17-10, and then you get a pitcher's duel that breaks out in the final game. Take me through what was so special about this team.
It did kind of start last year with the regional championship last year, and last year we were the 5 seed and rolled into the playoffs. Had a barn burner with Princess Anne in game 1. And then to go to the state last year, we had a pretty exciting game against Great Bridge, and we're able to get by them. And then a back and forth game with FC to win the region. And then we go into the state playoffs last year, and we lose kind of a heartbreaker 7-6 to Maury. And it gave us a great taste, like you said, of kind of maybe things to come. And then this year's team is. Weirdly enough, mostly juniors, a couple big sophomores, one big freshman, and then 2 or 3 key seniors on this team. And it feels like these guys were thinking about, well, maybe next year's team is going to be better. I always kind of believe that juniors are kind of a key role to a team. Meaning that at the beginning of the year, juniors oftentimes play like sophomores. And by the end of the year, they play like seniors. And so that kind of seemed to, come to fruition this year, that our juniors started off a little slow and kind of got used to, kind of being in the spotlight. And then, the back half of the season, they were rolling. And I don't know that we had any, obviously we had a lot of really good players, but I don't know that we really have anybody that was kind of a player of the year kind of guy. We just had a whole team full of guys that are really good, and we just kind of stacked it up. I think we 10 run 13 teams this year. We threw 9 shutouts, and we just got rolling. And our pitchers did what you need them to do in high school baseball, is throw strikes. And our guys had great at bats, and we had a bunch of walks and hit by pitches and some timely hitting. And it isn't really about hitting in high school baseball. It's about scoring runs, and so that's what we did. We put some serious runs. I think we put up 220 runs on the board this year, and so I think we're averaging about 9 runs a game, and giving up I think 2.5 runs a game, so something crazy like that. So again, that was a kind of a long dissertation about kind of the run that kind of got us to here, and then just getting back into playoff mode here this year. This year we get into the playoffs, and we play Princess Anne, and we just have a pretty good game against them. We're certainly expecting to play FC in the second round, and they got kind of snake bit by Kempsville, who just kind of got hot at the end, and then we were able to get by Kempsville. And then we get Cox in the finals, and we get a back and forth game. I think we go extra innings with them, 8 innings with them to beat them in the regional final 3-1, and then we're on to state, and then we get Kickintan, who's kind of an upset team over there, and they come over to our place, and we did okay that game. And we got by them, and then we get Riverbend in the semis, and that is a crazy game where we are we're going to the bottom of the first, and then we put up a 9 spot. And I'm about to take my pitcher out of the game because we're up 9. I'm going to take Hamilton out, but he was a little wild in the first inning, so he had thrown 26 pitches instead of 25. I had to keep him under 25, so I couldn't go get him. So after the first inning, I would have taken him out, but I left him in because obviously we got to play tomorrow against Cox, which we already know because they had won previous to our game. Mm-hmm. So we go into the second inning, and Hamilton kind of is struggling to find it. They're not really hitting him, but he is just, he's just a little bit off.
Sure.
And so they get a few runs there, and I got to go get him in the second inning because he's just a little bit off. And I bring in the freshman Aiden Skalski, and he kind of quiets him down for a second, and then he is a big strike thrower for us, and then he's off just a little, and he's and the strike zone was tight. This is Hamilton and Skalski and their guys. Our guys walked 9 in that game. Their guys walked 12. So the strike zone is tight, and then we're able to. They're kind of low on pitching, and we're able to throw some strikes, and then we just start hammering some balls around there, and that 9-8 game. Where we're at in the third turns into 12-9 or 12-8, and then 14-8, and 15-8, and then it's 15-10, and then 17-10, and we're just able to kind of keep them at arm's distance, for most of the game. Then we get to the Cox game, and man, that one is fun. They've got their 2 arms ready to roll. They've got what's the big pitcher that started for them? I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's pitched against us 3 times. Lemke came in for him. Mm-hmm. It'll come to me. Anyways, he starts off and he's rolling, through 5 innings, and they've got their guy Lemke ready to roll, who closes out kind of all their games. And they go up 1-0 in the 5th on kind of a ground ball between first and second that just was in the right place. Our second baseman knocks it down. It's first and third, 2 outs, and we can't make the play at first because it was just a tough play. So they sneak one across in the 5th. Then we come up in the 6th, and we've got we put a pinch hitter in, Rowan Powers. He comes up and he gets blown away on the first 2 pitches. The Lemke kid's throwing great. And then he just goes into battle mode, and it's 0-2. He digs in, bears down. He goes from 0-2 to 3-2, fouls off 4 more pitches, and then works us into a walk. So we get a leadoff walk. And then Connor Mays comes up and hits a double into the corner. That scores, well, actually didn't score our run, but as our runner was coming around first base, Zach Waterman, I saw him run into one of their middle infielders, and then the umpire stuck his arm out, and he's got this arm out to the side here, and he got that delayed dead ball obstruction call. So that's just a green light for you as a coach to wheel your guy, because he's going to be safe at home no matter what. So I send him in there, send him around home with 2 outs, and he slides in. Obviously he's out at home, but then obviously the umpires get together and they realize that we've got we got an obstruction call at second base. And so, the field umpire had it correct. And so they, obviously they award him home. And so now we've got a runner on third and 2 outs. In a 1-1 game, and they wiggle out of that inning, and so we go extra innings, and our guy Luke Ellison is just dealing. He is rolling, and he pitches the 7th. They get nothing going. We get nothing going. Goes into the 8th, kind of same thing. Nothing going. We go into the 9th. Ellison is still rolling. He gets 2 quick outs. They get a base hit with 2 outs in the 9th, and then Ellison is out of pitches. I got to go get him because he's at his 110 pitch count. So I bring in Mitchell Byers, and he comes in there, and he's a little side armor, and he comes in there and gets a quick out for us. So now we go to the bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth rolls around, and we get again, great at bat from Welsh with a leadoff walk. We bunt him over. Connor Mays bunts him over, and then they decide that they're going to walk Trey Hamilton, who's arguably been our best hitter all year long, which is a pretty solid move, except the next guy's Turner Huell, and Lemke kind of lost the zone for a minute, and he went 3-1 on Huell, and then the next pitch hit him. So he was going to walk anyways, but now they've got bases loaded, 1 out, and Gosio steps up, and Lemke goes 2-0 to Gosio. They got no, obviously to him. We are actually going to squeeze after the first strike. But I was going to give Gosio one swing at it before we squeeze, and Gosio hits a shallow kind of fly ball to center. And we had put a faster runner in for my DH, Grayson Welsh. And so G Casher's on third, shallow fly ball to center. We tag. My slow guy would have been out at the plate, but my fast guy is coming in there, and he slides in. Close play at home, but we're clearly safe in state championship, Ocean Lakes, in a game that could have went either way. So I know that's a long.
No, I love the strategy of it, Coach. And I believe that pitcher that you were thinking of for Cox is Ben Kablock, if that's right.
Kablock.
And obviously Lemke is a talent. And your guy, Luke Ellison, what a year he's had. I think looking at some of the numbers was like 6-0, 2.43 ERA at some point. I'm not sure that was going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. He had a couple of losses that maybe didn't make the board. He lost to the James Island team down in South Carolina. They ended up being number 9 in the country. And then he lost a 1-0 game to FC and a 2-1 game to Cox. So he's had a couple of tough luck losses, but he's pitched tremendous.
Yeah, I want to get to some of the quality of the beach here. We saw the comment from former Kimsel AD Tim Wolf about you being at Salem years ago and just the quality of the beach. We talked about this with Michael Kadire recently about the All-Tidewater Baseball Classic that just transpired. How so many good teams, it's just not just in the beach, but in the whole 757. You mentioned some of the upsets like First Colonial getting taken out early, the defending champs, Menchville, a previous champ, getting knocked out early by Kickitan. But for you, the strategy, I love it. Just it's back and forth. You've played Cox. This is the 4th time. You lost the first 2. You win the last 2 region finals and state finals. That squeeze thing, the bunt, we see it all the time. I'll be watching Major League games in extra innings. Coach Young and I will talk about it on our Saturday program and be like, my goodness, why aren't they bunting there? How much easier is it for you? You're batting the bottom half of that, and here, if we don't get this to work, it's not like the game is over for us. Does that take a little bit of mind? And then how much do you all practice those things? Because I'm sure that it's something that the common fans don't know. This is something you have to work at to get it to execute.
Yeah, man, you can't even imagine how much time we spend on bunting. Yeah, it's an incredible amount of time. And whether it's a sacrifice, base hit, squeeze bunts, you work at all those things. And Gosio happens to be probably our 2nd or 3rd best bunter on our team. He's really good. And so we kind of had the right guy up there if we were going to squeeze. And, but, again, with him throwing a couple of balls early on in that last AB, I just felt like he was going to get a fastball, probably down the middle and be a good chance for Gosio to put a good swing on it. And that would be, kind of a better chance if you've got the bases loaded on a squeeze play. One of the things that, that comes into play is obviously you've got to force out at home so they don't have to catch and tag you at home. It's a little bit easier to defend the squeeze bases loaded than it is with, 2nd and 3rd or 3rd base, or even 1st and 3rd. So, a couple of things to think about. And so obviously giving Gosio the green light on that 2-0 pitch to, cut it loose, certainly worked out for us.
We're chatting with Pete Zell. He's the head baseball coach of the Class 5 state champion Ocean Lakes Dolphins. Our guest here on 757 Sports Talk, streaming all the time on Cova Sports TV and through our social media outfits. Make sure you hit the like button, the share button, and importantly, the subscribe button on our YouTube channel for more and to get notifications when we do go live with all kinds of different programming, be it interviews and live sporting events. Coach, tell us about some of these guys on your team. You touched on Gosio and Trey Hamilton and Luke Ellison and what the prospects are for some of your seniors. Have they committed? what their outlooks are. And I know you mentioned this is a junior heavy team, so I'm sure before you could even get on the bus, you got people getting in your face like I did Joe Gibbs years ago for the Washington football team. We're going back to back next year, right? Like it's easy.
Yeah. Well, that's a cautionary tale, right? Because,
Sure.
if you look at last year, First Colonial was mostly juniors.
Yeah.
And I would say that they probably felt like maybe they snuck one in ahead of schedule, and that they probably felt like their best team was going to be this year's team. So if last year's or if this year's First Colonial team isn't a cautionary tale for our guys, that message will be sent, loud and clear, that, each year's team is their own team. But, for us, a couple of key seniors that played huge roles for us. Obviously, Goshio, we just talked about. Austin Cruz, center fielder for us. He hit 380, played a great center field, hit fifth for us, and he's heading to Bridgewater. And he has just grown into a really, really good middle of the lineup hitter for us. And he's going to have an excellent college career at Bridgewater. And then we had a guy that this was a crazy story. One of our top pitchers was Rowan Powers heading into the season. He's going to pitch at Westchester, PA. And he just came down with the Rick Ankiel, Mackie Sasser, Steve Sachs funk, and he had a mental block with his pitching. He only threw a handful of batters, and he kind of couldn't get that funk out of his system. And so in the off season, obviously he'll have to dig his way out of that mental block that he got. But he came in and he had huge pinch hit at bats and DH for us, and played a little first base for us during the year. So that, it was just so great to see him be resilient. And the game tying run was that Rowan Powers at bat, where he went from 0-2 against Lemke, battled back all the way to work a walk. And I think it was a 12 or 13 pitch at bat. And just tremendous that the kid just, could have felt sorry for himself and been down because obviously the pitching didn't go the way he wanted it to. But instead, he's got the resiliency and the moxie and the grit to bear down and do what he needed to do, which was just great pinch hit, DH kind of spots all year long. And then in the biggest moment of the year when we needed him the most, he came through. And so I just, that's just another senior for us that just was huge. Our leadoff guy was Connor Mays. We did everything that you want: shortstop, steady glove, great on the bases, 15 stolen bases, hit 370 for us as well. But I think he had 30 walks and hit by pitches combined. I think his on base percentage was almost 600. And I think he scored, 39 runs for us this year, which was just what you need on your leadoff guy. Trey Hamilton was our 2-hole guy. He, obviously he played well for us. Our 3-hole guy was Turner Kuehl. And now this guy overcame kind of his kneecap popped out right before the season. And so it popped out, went back in. And so he was kind of playing on one leg for about 3/4 of the season. And as our season really is just ending, he's kind of coming back at full strength. And he's a sophomore who's going to be a ACC, SEC player. He's a big time guy. He's a 6'4" runner. Just a powerhouse, hit a couple big home runs. And he is on everybody's recruiting charts. Then he's a big time player. And then we had Goshio and Crew in the middle of the lineup. And then we get to the two squirrels in the middle of the lineup. We call them that's the Nagel brothers. They're awesome. 2 brothers hitting 6 and 7 for us. Donovan Nagel playing right field and Brady Nagel playing first base. And they just were such a steady, presence in the, middle back of the lineup. Both of them got some big time power. They're good sized guys. Donovan played a great right field and Brady was outstanding at first base, but they both were they just kept getting better. And when the bottom of your lineup has guys like that, on most teams, those guys are going to hit kind of in the middle of the lineup. And for us, they're hitting 6 and 7, and they were just great. And then we kind of went 8-hole by committee between Ben Meneses and Zach Waterman and Rowan Powers. We kind of rotated some guys and pinch hits and offense and defense and did some things over there. And those guys gave us everything that we needed. And then Grayson Welsh was our DH. He'll be, he and Bo Bracknell will be, fighting for the catcher's kind of DH spot next year. And they are Grayson. I think he hit 250 or something on the year, which would be kind of unassuming. Except I think he had 27 walks and hit by pitches, so his on base percentage in the 9-hole was almost 500. And so again, the magic to the game is not always hitting. It's some timely hitting, but it's base running, getting on base, and scoring runs. And so that's kind of what this team did. So that kind of gave you the lineup. Daniel Hamilton was huge for us. We had a little freshman step on the mound when we lost Powers, kind of to the to the mental thing that he had going on. We had a kid step up, a kid named Aiden Skowski. If you look at our stats, he's probably got the most impressive stats. He was 8-1 as a freshman with 50 strikeouts in 35 innings. And, he started off the season. Powers started the first game against Deep Creek, and he walked the first 3 guys to start the season. So he was all over the place. I had to go get him. I brought in this freshman, Stiowski, and he faced 15 guys against Deep Creek. He struck out 14 of them. Oh. And the first game of the season, his first varsity innings, he strikes out 14 of the first 15 guys that he faces.
So he's your version of the guy from Arkansas against Murray State. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know that he's going to be a first rounder over there just yet, because he's a little guy. But he just came in there and pounded the strike zone, and he can pitch. And so he was just a huge, well, it wasn't really a surprise, but it was a huge productive pitcher for us. And then we got another guy that closed out the Cox game and got actually the win in the state championship game. A little side armor named Mitchell Byers. Mm-hmm. And so he just, he was 110 pounds soaking wet when he got here in 9th grade. Now he's all the way up to a whole 140 pounds. And so obviously he just got a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, but he can just sling it from the side. And he's got, everything kind of comes at you and it looks the same. And then one goes this way, one goes this way, one goes down this way. And so, he's been huge, and he's thrown some really key innings. He got the save against Cox in the region championship, and he got the win in the state championship for us. So those guys have kind of been, that kind of gave you kind of a rundown on all the heavy hitters for us.
No, I appreciate it. From a few more let you on here, appreciate the time. No doubt here with Pete Zell, head baseball coach of the VHSL Class 5 state champion Ocean Lakes Dolphins, as they finish up the campaign 21-5, a nice 8-game winning streak and outlasting Cox in extra innings on Saturday to win the title. And the Beach has got a great history, as you know, Coach. Cox has won titles before. First Colonial coming off one last year. You guys won it this year. How much did that regular competition, day in and day out, help prep you for the playoffs? We hear this from every coach in every sport in every district who believes its district, the teams it faces, its schedule is the best. But I really think with hearing all the underclassmen that contributed so significantly to your success, it had to help them get better and speed up the learning curve to a degree.
Well, you're right. I would say not just the Beach District, but when you combine in our region that you got some powerhouses from the Southeastern District and, in Hickory and Great Bridge to kind of go along with our Beach guys that have, been in the mix. You've always got, a good team like Princess Anne that's always giving you tough games. Kempsville and Kellum are always tough outs for you. And then, at the top of the kind of the region area, you usually have, a Great Bridge, a Hickory, a Cox, and FC. When you guys are playing those kinds of teams, and it's certainly going to get you game ready. And then you add to that where you go down to this hand-to-hand tournament where a lot of us go to kind of take on some heavyweights. I think Western Branch goes down there and they go 1-3. Great Bridge goes down there and they go 1-3. I think we went 2-1 this year, but we're usually just fighting to maybe get out of that tournament 500 or better. When we open up in that tournament against the James Island team that ended up being number 9 in the country, you're playing some dudes. And so between the region guys that you play around here, the Beach guys that you play twice oftentimes, and then some of the heavy hitters that you play in your tournaments, and if that kind of doesn't get you ready, then nothing will, because as you're playing these big games, certainly playing a Riverbend or playing, Kickingham or playing, and any of these guys that we play in the playoffs last year was Great Bridge and Maury. You certainly don't feel overwhelmed when you get to that spot because your guys have seen good teams, played good teams, and they're not, they don't feel like that these games are unwinnable or that they're such a big underdog in there that they have to be perfect. We kind of got that message out that we can win these big games and we still don't have to be perfect. We're going to try, but we do not have to be perfect to win them. And so, it's just pretty exciting to, have those guys kind of believe in that and, kind of get it done.
As we finish up here, Coach, we hit on, obviously, the rugged Beach District, the very competitive Region 5A slate that you see come playoff time, playing a number 9 team in the country, the expectations being high for next year with what you return. As you bask in the glory of all this, what will you remember most about this 2025 Dolphins team? What made it so special and unique?
That's a great question. A couple of things just run out. I feel like, this championship is for, all these guys that grind and work hard. There's some good coaching buddies of mine that don't have a title to their name, but they work so hard. The Gary Speddens, the Chris Barnharts of the world, these guys, even if they're in different sports, these guys grind like we do. They get after it like we do. Some things just kind of have to go your way sometimes. The schedule kind of, fell our way a little bit as far as the playoffs. Our guys stayed healthy this year and got healthy from being a little unhealthy. And then, we have good kids that just kind of believe in each other. And, we were just able to just kind of find a pulse of this team that, really thought that they could do this about halfway through the season. And, at the beginning of the season, they were just kind of learning how to win and learning how to be a really good team. And we were close. We were losing 1-0 to FC. We lost 2-1 to Cox. We lost, we were down 9-8 to the James Island team down in South Carolina before it got away from us in the 7th. But, all these games, beating Providence, beating a really good Bishop England team down in South Carolina, beating Cox in the region championship, and then really just putting some teams away, when some of these teams, maybe had a feeling Kempsville was hot off of beating First Carolina, and they scored the first run on us 1-0 in the semifinal game. And then we were able to just kind of, pull away and have great at bats. And we put a 6 up on them in the second and, 4 more in the third. And before they knew it, we had, 12, 13 runs up there in that game. And they had come into that game pretty hot. So it's just, it was all the things that you talk about, all the magic, and it always just takes me back to the Carson DeMartinis, the Johnny Walls, the Micah Singers, the Noah Nosses, these guys that have grinded before us. I always think back to the story that in 2001 when Ocean Lakes lost in the state championship game, Gary Spedden did not pitch his star pitcher Mike Ballard, who ended up being a pro pitcher and having a great career at UVA, because he wouldn't sell him out and pitch him on short rest, because the guy had obviously incredible future ahead of him. And so he probably wins the state championship in 2001 with a 2-0 shutout if he pitches Ballard. Instead, he goes with his other guys, and and the game doesn't go their way. So I always kind of respect the fact that he didn't sell out his the kid's future for a short term kind of win. And I'm sure the kid wanted the ball because, he ended up being a tremendous player at UVA and had a nice pro career. But, those are kind of the things that you asked me that I think about when it goes through, because, 30 plus years over here, it's only been myself and Coach Spedden over here at OL. So it's been a lot of fun.
No, hearing that from you, and we'll finish up with this. And it brings me to my last, I guess, thought, question, comment with you here is that you bring up the DeMartinis, the Coach Spedden, the people that helped lay the foundation, the bricks, if you will, for what you guys have just accomplished. And what really triggered and wanted me to hit you up and do this was I saw a lot of the comments through social media, through Facebook, that are folks that are either Ocean Lakes alums, fans, parents, fill in the blank, that want to now go out of their way to try to help you guys. I know it's not an easy process. I've seen it with other programs that have won state championships, even in the beach recently, like Princess Anne girls basketball and Green Run boys basketball. You all have to raise funds to get these kids what they deserve in terms of rings and jacked and so much. But to have the community support like that, it's got to mean something to you and also all your kids, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, no, it's obviously we grind with camps and do all these things to raise money for our spring break tournaments. And so when the community kind of rallies behind you and does these things, a little give back after all the things that we try to give to the baseball community and to the young kids that we work with over here in our world, it is really nice to see that these guys kind of give back. And the kids, when you get old like you and I, well, you're really not that old. I am. When you get old like me, the rings, the memories of the things you're going to remember, but the kids all love the rings. And so I'm super excited to see these guys kind of get these, get an opportunity to get that. And, it's just one of those things that, they will have this forever, man. This memory will now go away. I know, people will, put the target on us for next year, and and rightfully so. These guys have earned a target on their chest, and that's okay. They'll handle that just fine. But they'll have this memory forever, and they'll never be able to kind of forget all the great things and just kind of the special run. But yeah, the community is just so supportive here at OL.
No, I heard Bill Parcells, the former longtime football coach of the Giants, Patriots, Jets, Cowboys. I think he said it best, Coach. He said it's like a blood transfusion when you win a championship. Part of your blood goes into their blood, and then when you do it, they can never take it away from you because you did it. And it's so cool for you and your kids and your coaches and all that are involved with it. Well, hey, thank you so much again. Congratulations. Enjoy the summer. Go take a couple dips in the pool when you get a chance here. I know there'll be a smile on your face, and I'm sure we'll talk down the road. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on there. Appreciate you, man.
You bet. That is Coach Pete Zell of the VHSL Class 5 state champion Ocean Lakes Dolphins, our guest here as they outlasted Cox 2-1 in a thriller this past Saturday in the state finals for baseball. More to come here. You're watching 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Make sure you hit the like button, the share button, and subscribe. Stay tuned.